Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into, well, the whirlwind that's been Bitcoin lately.
Yeah, quite a bit happening.
Definitely. We've seen prices surge, huge fund movements, market liquidations, even talk about central banks getting involved, and shifts in U.S. policy.
A lot to unpack.
Right. So our mission today is to sort through all this for you, figure out what's really driving these moves and what it might signal.
Okay, so the price action is probably the first thing everyone noticed. I mean, Bitcoin didn't just get back over $90,000.
It went higher, didn't it?
Yeah, it actually peaked at $94,700 on April 23rd. That's the highest level we've seen since back in early March.
And it happened fast, like really fast, over 11% in just 2 days, from $84,000 to over $94,000.
Exactly. That basically wiped out 3 months of losses.
Yeah, pretty much. And puts it up, what, around 25% from that April low? Near $74,600.
That's right. A very sharp recovery. And analysts are now watching that $95,000 level closely.
Seems like a key resistance point now. So what's behind this burst?
Well, a huge factor seems to be the money pouring into those spot Bitcoin ETFs, the exchange-traded funds.
Some numbers there were just staggering, weren't they?
Absolutely massive. We're talking $912 million on April 22nd.
Okay.
And then the next day, April 23rd, $936 million.
Wow. So those are the biggest inflows since, what, January 2025?
Yep. And just to give you some perspective, that's like over 500 times the average daily inflow we saw earlier in the year.
500 times. Okay, that's serious institutional money talking. Really signals renewed confidence, maybe as a hedge?
It definitely points to strong institutional demand and, yeah, renewed optimism about Bitcoin's role, perhaps as a macro hedge.
And all that buying pressure must have had other effects, right, on people betting against it.
Oh, definitely. It set the stage for a major short squeeze.
Ah, right, the liquidations. Saw huge numbers there, too. $317 million in Bitcoin shorts liquidated.
That's the figure for Bitcoin alone, yes. And it was part of a bigger picture, $618 million in liquidations across all crypto markets.
That's the largest event like that this year, isn't it?
It is. And it specifically wiped out a lot of those really high-leverage shorts people betting 100 to 1 against Bitcoin.
So they were forced to buy back in when the price jumped.
Exactly.
Right.
Which, of course, just pushes the price up even more. It's that classic squeeze dynamic. Suggests maybe, just maybe, a turn away from that really bearish sentiment we saw.
Interesting. Okay, so beyond the pure market mechanics, there's also been noise about more traditional finance players looking at Bitcoin.
That's right. You've got these intensified calls for the Swiss National Bank, Switzerland Central Bank, to consider adding Bitcoin to its reserves.
A central bank? Seriously?
Yeah, it's tied into the broader global economic uncertainty. Things like U.S. tariffs causing ripples. The idea gaining traction is Bitcoin as a potential hedge against that kind of financial instability.
That's quite a shift in thinking. And speaking of governments, there have been developments in the U.S. too, right? Policy-wise.
Yes, the Trump administration made some notable announcements. Things like a planned strategic Bitcoin reserve.
For reserve, what does that entail?
And also a digital asset stockpile. The idea seems to be holding Bitcoin and other assets that have been seized, forfeited in criminal cases.
Okay, so holding it, not just selling it off immediately.
Potentially. And then you have the appointment of Paul Atkins as SEC chairman. He's generally seen as having, let's say, a more favorable view of crypto.
Right, more pro-crypto. So that's likely fueling some optimism about the regulatory future.
Definitely seems to have boosted market sentiment, yes. People are perhaps anticipating a friendlier regulatory environment down the line.
Okay, so let's try and tie this all together. We've got massive ETF inflows showing institutional buy-in.
A huge short squeeze, clearing out bearish bets and adding fuel.
Growing talk of Bitcoin as a reserve asset, even by central banks, amid global jitters.
And finally, signals from the U.S. government that might point towards a more accommodating stance on crypto.
It's quite a convergence of factors, isn't it? Financial, market-driven, political.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the big question, really, for you listening. Could this convergence signal something more fundamental, a real shift in how Bitcoin is perceived, its role in the global financial system?
Yeah, what should you be watching for next? What developments might give us clues about the long-term implications of all this? Something to think about.